the Tuesday live stream. We got a ton of things to go over. Let's just jump right into it. So first of all, the title and thumbnail suggest, I think this is the year of digital asset treasury companies. And this is actually a quote that I lifted from Hunter Horsley. He's the CEO at Bitwise Investments, 10 billion client assets, 7 years in crypto. And we saw it coming, and it's like it just kind of came upon us like a wave. And we start to see what's happening with all these different companies. And it kind of started off with essentially the ETF flows. And the ETF flows, we are going to see that Ethereum, for one of the very few times, absolutely crushed ETFs of the Bitcoin flow. So check this out. This was from yesterday, 11th of August, 2025. Today we're at 12th. And of course, the data isn't available yet. But we can see that as of yesterday, the usual suspects, we've got BlackRock, Fidelity, ARK, Grayscale. They intaked about 178 million worth of the ETF as far as what Bitcoin would go. Now check this out as far as the Ethereum ETF flow. 11th of August, the usual suspects are at it again, but even more so. You got 639 million from BlackRock. I think Fidelity, 276 million. ARK, Bitwise, Van Eck. You can just see that they're all gobbling up Ethereum. And it was over $1 billion worth of Ethereum in the ETFs. And to give you a visualization of just how big that is in one day, here is the entire flow from the ETF from its inception to today. We can see that it is essentially over 1 billion. This is the largest that it's ever been. So what's happening? Well, it's because a lot of these companies, a lot of these treasuries want it. Now they can't get into ETFs. They want to actually hold the real asset itself. And if we just step back, because I've had this question from a lot of people, which is like, is this too late? Is it too late for me to get into these Ethereum treasury companies? Well, let's take a look at MicroStrategy back in the day. And yes, the title of this video in there, I talked about, is MicroStrategy a Ponzi? And we will actually talk about that from what Bitcoin did, which is the title of their video. So I do not want to hear this is a clickbait title. I'm taking it right from what Bitcoin did. And there's some actually good information. We'll get to that at the end, so just stick around. MicroStrategy, back to what I was saying. If we take a look at over the last day or so, it's actually down 1.43. Over 5 days, looking pretty good. It's up 5%. 1 month, down 12%. Interesting. 6 month, 20%. 1 year, almost 200%. Okay. Then over 5 years, we can see that it's a massive 2,588. So where did the gains come from? Well, of course, it came from when MicroStrategy around August, I want to say the 2nd or 3rd, when they finally announced that they are going to put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. You can see that was just a paltry $14.66. And if we actually max out to see what MicroStrategy had done for its time, it didn't do much of anything since the great run-up in 2001 of the dot-com era. Then it kind of fell off. And there's many reasons. Michael Saylor has talked about that. It didn't really start to hit until they announced that they had Bitcoin on their balance sheet, which is great, which is fine. I'm happy for that. Now we've got these other companies, and we've talked about this. BitMine, this would be Tom Lee's. And we can see that over the last 24 hours, not too bad, 6%. Over 5 days, now we're talking 90% up. And these are the kind of numbers you would see in crypto. And what BitMine is doing is essentially just putting Ethereum on their balance sheet. Over a month, you're at 52%. 6 months, 680%. And we can see that the big, huge announcement happened somewhere around June, like we always talk about. So that's one thing. So do I think that BitMine, that's it, and everybody missed it? Well, look, even if you went to its all-time high, actually, this isn't the all-time high, I don't think. If we max out, oh, I should take that back. It actually is. Oh, that can't be right. Huh. From here to here, oh, that's true, $135. So right here, I mean, you could 2x, maybe, potentially. There are dangers on there. But then there's another company we talked about yesterday, Fundamental Global. And over a day, 24 hours, you're up 18% just by investing into a stock. 5 days, 27%. Over a month, 41%. I think this one is just getting going. So if you're like, which one would I get into? I can't give a financial advice, but these things are happening. And then on top of that, you have to consider just how many of these treasuries are buying up. So the question is, Do I get into Ethereum? Do I put into Ethereum, or do I get into these treasuries? It's up to you. I can just tell you I'm doing both. 8% of Ethereum supply is now sitting in ETFs or on company reserves, like we just saw. The percentage of ETH held by ETFs and corporate has risen from just 3% at the beginning of April. So imagine that. April, May, June, July, August. We're looking at 3.5 months. Look how far we've come in that short amount of time. What do you think is going to happen in October, November, December? So it's looking pretty good. And then another company joins the fray, ETHZilla. It's a goofy name. ETHZilla, it was renamed. Stock jumps over 90% in 24 hours after legendary investor Peter Thiel takes stake and company discloses 82,186 ETH holdings. And I expect to see other companies doing the same thing. So here's another option for you. Life Science, which is what it was called. Shares of 180 Life Sciences amid a rebrand to ETHZilla, soared over 90% following announcement after Peter Thiel controlled entities that acquired a less than 10% stake in the company. Earlier this month, ETHZilla closed a $425 million private placement. And what do? Well, if you're looking for it, here's the ticker, ATNF as far as NASDAQ, 180 Life Sciences. And is that right? Okay. In 24 hours, it's gone up 206%. Where do you think things are going as far as traditional finance and people looking at this going, maybe I should get into this? I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you it's looking pretty obvious. But that's Life Sciences over 5 days. Oh, this looks like, yeah, there's the announcement. It went from $3 to $11. How about a month? How about 6 months? How about 1 year? How about 5 years? Isn't it amazing how a lot of these companies are the same thing? They had some kind of grandiose stock price at some point, and then they just fell off the planet, kind of like meme coins. And then it just flatlined for a very long time until they started to put crypto and digital assets on their balance sheet. I need to make this crystal clear. I don't think these companies are going to last. I think they're going to get into it just like the dot-com era. They said, oh, we'll put .com next to our name and we'll have our stock go up massively. I think at some point when the market starts to fade, they'll fade and they'll sell like crazy. And that, I think, is where we're going to see the destruction of a great bull market, these companies selling off. Now, I could be wrong, but I just don't think that 100% of them have the altruistic feelings of into digital assets. I don't think they're here for the tech. So I would just caution you that this is probably a short-term thing. Not all of them, I think, but a good amount of them. And play it as it will. Let me know what you think about that in the comments section. And then lastly, I want to give a shout out to Stephen, who actually bought. This is the power of like being attentive and being essentially a degenerate gambler like Stephen is. So he got wind of this Life Science and he made $1,600 in like a couple hours. God, amazing, right? So anyhow, shout out to Stephen, that guy, for making a quick buck, but it is what it is. And then moving away from the crypto sphere, let's talk about a little bit about macro. If you haven't heard, which I'm sure you have already, it looks like inflation has risen, but it's lower than expectations. So the CPI came out this morning, year over year. The previous was this is the core producer index, or consumer price index, I'm sorry, CPI. And it's 2.7% was the previous. The forecast was that we would go up 1/10 of a point, and we didn't. It actually maintained at 2.7. Now, core CPI, the forecast was, okay, it will go up 1/10, and it did. And that was the actual. So the forecast was, well, previous was 0.2, then 0.3, then 0.3. However, core CPI year over year, previous was 2.9%. This is, of course, stripping out food and electricity. And we can see that it went from 2.9 to 3.1. And then that was the forecast, so it maintained. So what does that mean? That means that we're probably going to get some rate cuts. That's what everybody is assuming right now. And it's a funny thing because there's a dual mandate for the Federal Reserve. There's two things they wanted to do: make sure that the economy is healthy and humming along and doing great. And the second thing is to not increase inflationary causes. So if they cut rates, that is inflationary. But it will potentially help the economy. So that's up to Jerome going from there. I'm glad I don't have his job. So let me know what you think about that in the comment section. I think everybody's jubilant and the markets are going crazy and everybody's happy. Hey, that's great. And I would just like to say a shout out to World Mobile. Going on the second week with using their phone service. This is a decentralized phone service. It's pretty great. I've been with them for about 4 years as far as talking about them and covering their exploits from African countries, branching out into 99.9% of America where it's available, and just using the service, which it has real world utility. And here's the costs, $59.85. I don't have an affiliate link. There's a link in the description if you want to check it out. But it's good. And it works out really well. And then I just saw this a couple of days ago or yesterday. I can't remember when it was. A video they put out about some stratospheric jet. I didn't understand what this was until they say this is going to change everything. So apparently, not only do they have 99% connectivity in the United States, but they want to do this globally with telecommunications and data. It's a high altitude platform. It's an antenna, high bandwidth, low latency, coverage from the stratosphere, fraction of the cost of terrestrial networks, and satellites, which, if you think about it, this would be a competitor to Starlink. Not saying they're going to win, I'm just saying that's a ballsy move, and I'd like to see what happens. And of course, we talked about this and like, wow, this actually has real world utility. You can actually participate in the network. You can buy nodes. You can stake the actual token. You can make things run and hum. But then I said, but the token itself is going down. Well, I was incorrect. In the last 7 days, it's went up 18%. In the last 24 hours, it's went up 11 or 12%. Still ranked number 435. But I like to see that. I like to see companies that I've been with for 4, almost 5 years do well and actually roll out something that you can actually use instead of some BS meme coin. So congratulations, World Mobile. Also, looks like they got Cleveland basketball player Tristan Thompson to be a spokesperson for them. And this was what I found over on, I guess it's TMZ, talking about all the things this guy's doing. I don't know how much energy this guy's got, Tristan Thompson. Again, Cleveland. But apparently took a role in an AI company. He met with Bo Hines at the, looks like a Trump White House meeting, and all have to do with crypto. Also, he fought some dude from the Raptors and then was kind enough to help out somebody who just their mom's passed. This guy does everything. Crazy. Anyhow, that's what we have for World Mobile. There's a link in the description. You can check that out. And lastly, there's another one I want you guys to see is Indigo. And I'm going to be investing in this one as well. It's a Cardano. And just like World Mobile, which started off on Cardano as well, now it went multi-chain, I think Indigo is going to be the same thing for synthetic assets. Now, I'm not a big synthetic asset type of person and trader and stuff like that, so I want you to take a look at it. Links in the description, but we'll be talking more about that as time goes on, but that's it for today. So look, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and we talk about it's time sensitive. Now, if you want to stick around, we'll do a little Q&A. I'll answer all your questions to the best of my abilities, and we will go from there. Ah, damn it. I forgot one thing. The Microstrategy of Ponzi. Now, this one's, I want to leave this to the end because it's pretty much, I mean, it makes you think about everything. This is from What Bitcoin Did, and the title was, Is Microstrategy a Ponzi? And this is Lynn Alden, which nothing stops his train, very smart lady, and Andy Constant, and he's had decades of experience in TradFi. I want you to listen to this. It's about 1.5 minutes, and it's Andy here talking, and then Lynn chimes in about what he said, what he thinks about is it a Ponzi? I want you to hear this. Hold on. Make sure you can actually hear it correctly. Shares. Let's tab this up. Make sure the audio is crisp. So again, take a listen to this.
as appreciation of Bitcoin Treasury assets as earnings.
Hold on. First of all, can you hear that? Try this again.
Doesn't mean when you say, hey, I am the biggest earner in the top whatever earner in the S&P 500, that is not a fraudulent statement, because if the market falls, they will be the biggest loser in that quarter in history. And they are marketing it as this one-off mark to market. They are marketing to investors as recurring earnings that deserve a multiple. That is fraudulent.
Well, I would say I'm not sure I would call it fraudulent, but I don't agree with the charts that show their PE comparison either.
It's their company. How can you?
Okay, so that's it. I'll just want to play that piece. It's like an hour and a half long, and I listened to the whole thing. And when they start to get into it, and they actually give percentages as to say, like, well, you know, when the market starts to go down and we start to see a major pullback, what's the possibilities of them actually able to keep up with the demand, especially for the shareholders? And Andy there said, he's like, I think it's around 50%. And Lynn's like, I can see it up to 25%. So it's not like there's everything that's perfect out there, and just something to think about. So watch that video, link down in the description. And now let's get into a little Q&A. I'll answer all your questions. Let's see. Rusty Bot says, but we're not going down, bro. Does he not know that we are going up forever to the moon? That's right. Wouldn't that be awesome if that was true? Okay, let's see. Gasfee Fee says, the leverage game Sailor is playing is scary as hell. If we get a bear market for Q4 again, as usual, 4-year cycles, be careful. You know, that the gentleman that was talking in that clip, he even said, he goes, I got no problems with the leverage aspect of it. It's just being able to pay back the shareholders. And he gave the definition of a Ponzi and how it all works out. Now, watch the video and just go from there. But it made you think about, like, these things people have to keep coming in for that to actually work. Because, I mean, if we think about it, the cash flow that is Bitcoin, is there any cash flow for Bitcoin? I'm not talking about a store of value, and I'm not talking about using it as, like, if you owned a Lightning Network, right? And you can actually make revenue from that. Would be cash flow, because you have to charge fees for that. But as far as, like, cash flow, it's not like real estate. It's not like a business. There is no essentially cash flow from Bitcoin. You can borrow against it, but then you still have to pay these things back. There can be a cash flow instance there, but, like, that's one of the big things. And of course, what does everybody always tell you about Bitcoin? You never sell your Bitcoin. So essentially you're just looking at that going, yeah, it should appreciate. And again, it's all about your goals. Some people say, I'll never sell it because I'm going to give it to my kids and grandkids. Yeah, sure. But it does make you think. Okay. AWD says, are you saying we should get out ASAP? No, I think we got a lot of more room to run. But there was a post from Bob Lucas. Let's see if I can find it. And I think it's going to be true for almost all of us. Because I mean, how hard is it to buy? To buy crypto or digital assets is incredibly easy for all of us. And to buy when things are low is incredibly simple. However, to sell is the most difficult part to cross that Rubicon. And Bob said this, he's right. You've spent 2.5 years thinking about how you'll handle this cycle peak, what you'll do and won't do. And you'll throw it all out the window once mania takes control. This will be my third cycle. 2017 was the first, 2021 was the second, 2025 is the third. And it's the one thing that there's many things that concern me, but it's one of the big things that concerns me, is that we're here, we have flexed that muscle, used that muscle to buy every time. We've dollar cost average. Some of us have used leverage plays. We have accumulated for years. Now to hit the other button right next to the buy button, the sell, is the most difficult one. Because if it went up 50%, then why couldn't it go up 100%? And if it went up 100%, Why couldn't it go up 500%? If it went up 500%, why couldn't it go up 1,000, 2,000, 10,000%, right? So I think that's the big play. And I'm not saying to get out van life, but I'm saying at some point, it is what we strive for. Sale will be the reason for the bear market. He will also be the reason the government owns all the Bitcoin. They will swoop in and buy it all through BlackRock. Well, I mean, maybe. That's what happened to gold in the 30s, right? Alex says, when the music will stop, these Bitcoin treasuries are what will send us into the worst bear market crypto's ever seen. I don't know if it's that, or if it's, some kind of layer 2 solution, or even a new layer 1 solution that some of these traditional finance companies are using or will be using. And those get hacked and massive amount of user funds are lost. I think that's the thing that I worry about. And then people will say, what are you talking about, bro? Ethereum can't be hacked. Solana can't be hacked. Arbitrum can't be hacked. Nothing can be hacked. Okay, I don't know. I'll just tell you what I'm going to do. When these different factors hit, there's a link in the description. When I'm selling 80 to 100% of my crypto, I'm out, and that's it. I'll still keep the Bitcoin, but those altcoins, adios. I did my job. Let's see. The weak count Bitcoin traders will be selling their Bitcoin at a discount to MicroStrategy the next bear. Yeah, probably. No. Did I miss a bunch? Just gave away my secret 1000x small cap gem that you can buy. Way lower than real estate market. True. Bruman says I made a lot. I'm starting to sell. Sounds good to me. And Rusty Bot says Circle is coming with their own L1, I think. And you're right. Actually, there's another thing that we need to focus on, which is stuff like this. Stripe, if you don't know, Stripe is a payment processor that works in the background. Pretty much 30-40% of all online transactions can be attributed to Stripe in some way, shape, or form. And Stripe's going to build Tempo, a payments blockchain with Paradigm, which I believe is a layer 1 solution. Yep. Stripe is reportedly building a payments-focused layer 1 blockchain called Tempo with VC firm Paradigm. Stealth product was revealed via job listing on the Blockchain Association's careers board. So this is very early. Analysts say Tempo could offer predictable fees and performance, but success may hinge on privacy and openness. So, JP Morgan tried this as well. I think that's what it was. They tried to do like a permissioned blockchain, which makes absolutely no sense. That's the same thing that the banks have right now. So if they're going to do the same thing, what's the point? And it'll fail. I think it'll be more like what Robinhood is doing. Building on not the layer 1 solution that is Ethereum, but in the layer 2 solution that is Arbitrum, and just using them in Arbitrum orbit to make their own token that'll probably do quite well. Seamless for everyone. Ed said, let's hope ETH can break all-time high before retracing and hold support. Sure, why not? Stripe loves censorship. You can S it. Yeah. AWD says Bitcoin plus ADA plus midnight. And this is one of the things that I was bringing to everybody's attention. And I want everybody just to do that search about Indigo, is because it's on Cardano. I think it's going to go multi-chain. Of course, it's working in some way with Midnight if they're on Cardano, but they're also a Bitcoin layer DeFi project. So it's like the best of all worlds. Anyhow, links in the description. You can check it out. I'll be talking about it more as time goes on. Verhoofty says, hey, Rob, I'm with you. It'll soon be time to say adios to my olds. Yeah. I mean, look, the bags are heavy, right? And at some point, they get so heavy, somebody has to put them down. And then, unfortunately, it's people like me Berhoofty and all of you to pick up those heavy bags and bring them up another hill. And there's only so much distance you can go to hold those bags. And at some point, you have to put those down. And you've supported the project for quite some time. You've given your time, you've given your money, you've probably made enemies with your family and friends, who knows. And because of that, you have to put the bags down at some point. Let the next generation pick up those bags and carry them to the next cycle. That's how I see it. People also call that dumping, but it's all how you look at it. All right. And that's it. And LC3, I'm going to drop these alts like a hot potato. And Beardy says it right. These are heavy. Things are heavy. But don't worry. Times, they are changing. Things are looking pretty good. That's it for today. So like today's video, thumbs up, subscribe, all that great stuff. Thanks so much for hanging with me for about 25 minutes. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Adios.